afternoon, everybody, or wherever you may be. Good morning to some of you. So happy to start off this new webinar sessions, the autumn one. This is the first one of a series of 4, and it's about reinventing ourselves either with AI or with avatars, in any case with computers. I'm really excited to welcome all our panelists, but before I do, I'd like to mention to everybody that this is being recorded and it is also being streamed live on YouTube as we speak. So if you will get the recording link at the end, but if you have any questions at the moment, there is a Q&A button down the bottom of your screen where you can write your questions and I will pass them on to our speakers. So welcome everybody. Thank you very much for being here with me. Cristina, I will start with you because you're right on the right-hand side of my screen. Thank you so much for joining us from New York. So it's early for you. I did a bit of research on you, and you're a computer science engineer, but also an advisor on cybersecurity for huge entities such as Disney, Hearst, IBM, Oracle. We've all heard of these completely different enterprises, in fact, but all needing cybersecurity, I guess. So, and I hear you're about to join the Clinton Initiative. What is that? Tell us more about it.
So yeah, I did get to participate in this amazing event. So I'll tie this all together. So I consider myself to be like a industry 4.0 pioneer. And if you think about what that is, third industrial revolution produced carbon and was all about factories, and the fourth industrial revolution is basically what we're talking about today, right? It's AI, it's networked technology, it's this very powerful network of interconnected things, right? And so when you think about the risk in that world, it's cybersecurity. And so I focus on that. But my journey has been around the technology that's now created the fourth industrial revolution. So I work in the cybersecurity space because that's the fourth industrial revolutional risk. And I actually wrote a book on that topic as well. But I think I was a student at the MIT Media Lab, which was all about the technology and creativity. So my DNA is all about the crossroads, about how all these things come together and they create new, wonderful opportunities. And so I'm so excited to be here. And it was a real pleasure to participate in this Clinton Initiative, which is about sustainability, which of course ties into this topic, even on a technology level, not just on a carbon level.
And okay, not just on the carbon level. I was just going to ask that. So it is linked as well, I suppose, with the personal sphere of people. You're protecting personal IDs, right?
Yes, exactly. So, which is very, very important, right?
So yeah, we were just at the Google headquarters in Zurich, and the data collection that they're having is obviously huge, and the analytics that they can get from there. But it's true that you need to be able to filter that a little bit, and as an individual to protect your own identity.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of negative commentary around, the data and how it's used. But if you think about how powerful and all the capabilities that we've been able to enable through the use of these technologies, it's incredible, right? And I think that the future, I grew up watching Star Trek, which is, kind of why I thought this was such an amazing career to embark on. But you see the work that Carlos is doing, right? Space, health, healthcare to remote parts of the world, being able to provide identity in an economic but effective way. Just you're able to transcend boundaries and be able to provide solutions that really help humanity.
The whole communication system has changed as well because it's become interactive. And, rather than a brand pushing their own product, they're using third parties like influencers as well to push a brand, and the communication is so different now with social media and again the reinvention of it all.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I'm getting an emergency alert here in Manhattan for the flood flash, right? And in the past, you had to watch that in the news, but they've come to my personal device and told me to stay indoors, which I am.
Good, stay with us for a little bit longer then. I hope you're not on the first floor.
No, not. But yeah, we live in an amazing world. So I'm very excited about all the opportunities here. So Thank you for having me.
Sounds good, and we'll share a little bit more later. I'll give the floor to Maryla. Maryla also has a background which is legal more than anything, but recently has, or I don't know if it's that recent, but a few years ago has also reinvented yourself, and you're now coaching people to be savvy and to protect themselves in this new sphere. Is that more or less correct?
It is. Thank you, Sixtine. I'd like to first thank you and Carlos for organizing this webinar and for inviting me to be a panelist with all these very eminent speakers. And so yes, Reinvention. I'm here as part of the Reinvention angle of this webinar. And I have been myself a lifelong reinventor. And reinvention is kind of part of my DNA. It runs through my veins. I came from Poland to England to Switzerland. I moved from being a legal secretary to an English trust lawyer, international legal counsel, board advisory member of various international companies, and finally independent entrepreneur. So my life was kind of dedicated to achieving success in terms of what society defines as success. So it was the salary, the status, the suit. I had it all, you know, but deep down, I was really totally uninspired, unfulfilled, and always kind of yearning for something more, but couldn't quite define the more. And then when I kind of reached 50s, the voice of this discontent, this inner discontent, became very loud, and I really felt the need to change my direction. And because as a lawyer, I've lived all my life in my head. So I was totally ignoring my heart and what I truly wanted to do in my life, maybe, you know, something that really inspired, that fulfilled me, that, you know, made me jump out of bed in the morning. So I decided to become an advocate of change and help other 50 kind of plus women who still had a big vision for their life to reinvent themselves, to transform their skills, their passion, their life story into an online business success. So this is where I am today. I am as a reinvention strategist and success advocate. I am now on a mission to really help and empower women in their 50s, or to make the second part of their life the best part of their life, using technology, using the latest trends, you know, in AI, and not being afraid. You know, it's like embracing the change, not just in themselves, but in the world around them. So that's me in a nutshell.
So you think technology is really beneficial today for those women, or women and men for that matter, who want to embrace a new career?
Absolutely. I mean, it's essential. It's here to stay, you know. So we can't, you know, we can't go backward. You know, if we want to evolve, the evolution, you know, we're going forward. And social media, technology, AI is all part of the evolutionary, you know, movement forward. And so we either, you know, move forward or we get left behind. You know, so
that's true. We're not going to stop it, right? So we need to follow it. Yeah. Laura, I come to you now. Thank you again for being here, because I know you're super busy with the AII Festival in Geneva, but thanks for your time. I've known you, we met in Davos, but we also met before that as well on a course which you organized. You've been an AI, you fell in it when you were little, or what happened?
No, really not. I'm the non-tech girl in the foundation. So my career was in transition from the 25 years, and I working with unemployment people, with women, with young people who have been problem with jail and so and so. And in 2015, when the AI comes in Switzerland more powerful, we take a coffee with my co-founder Timothy, and he say, "Oh yeah, AI is here. It's like Christmas. I can jump in there and do everything." And in my part, I'm okay, but it's a very special moment for the transition of people. How can we do with that? How can we do that? do that AI empower people and don't take the same way that automatization take now and just put up the people. And we begin to think about that. And from this moment, I do a lot of training in AI to understand what is AI, to be able to discuss with the developer and to be able to manage project in AI. So I go to MIT, to Edinburgh, to Miller Institute in Canada. And so one step after one, I fall in AI world, but it's not my first word. And it's 2 or 3 very difficult years to understand really what is happening with AI. And after that, the challenge to learn how ethic is the very important part of AI and what is happening now. And so after that, we create a festival 3 years ago, because we talk about AI. All people say, okay, but I'm not a tech people, so I don't understand AI. The debate is not about me and AI. It's between the politic and developer. And we just say, okay, no, stop. We need to talk about that. And we create the festival for do awareness about AI to all the people. So,
and to do that, you used art, right? You invited artists.
Yeah. We invited each year 5 or 8 artists from each part of the world, and we put in the hand an AI we create, who called Chimera. And Chimera is a multimodal artificial intelligence. So you can talk, you can do picture, you can do a song, you can do all what you want in the same part. And artists create with Chimera. And after that, after 1 month of residence, we have the festival who is begin, and it begins 12 October until 22 October. And there is exposition, there is performance, then there is conference.
Okay, and do you work with the artists, or are they curious? Do you know about, you have to guide them, or you've approached AI savvy artists?
We approach artists that they never do something with AI, and my colleague Jonathan just do a workshop when they come from one day. Okay, here's what is AI, and just do and do what you want now. And it's very interesting because they give questions that we don't have. And after the first year, what we see, it's art. It's very colonized by Occidental art, and our way now is how to decolonize AI from the Occidental part. And we create this year Chimera community. There is one in India, one in South Africa, one in Geneva, and we go with the artists to give another way to see the art.
All right, that's very interesting. We'll come back to that. I'll introduce Carlos now by saying that one of the first things that Carlos told me when I met him is that he considered himself extremely lucky to have been part of the invention of the internet, of the WWW. And then here we are 25 years later, and you're doing a 4th or 3rd revolution. So Carlos, do you want to explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be among you guys. Yeah, I was lucky to be at the beginning of the web revolution. I was in the UN at that time, and as you know, the web was developing in Geneva. So I had the opportunity to see that from the genesis. And actually, it's more than 25. 25 is WiseKey already. The web is much older than that. But one of the things that I am realizing now that we are at the same fundamental change with the arrival of AI, and not only AI, because AI is only the visible part of the iceberg, is what we call the 4th industrial revolution technology, as Cristina just mentioned, which is the intersection of technologies. Then they are all of them getting bigger exponentially. I mean, we are out of this genie's out of the box, means that those technologies are progressing at unprecedented speeds. So we are in a societal change, technology change, cultural change, artistic change. Everything is going to change in 10 years' time. When we're going to look back we will find a total different society. But as everything, what happened on the web and is mainly has been duplified in AI, technology is always neutral. It's not good or bad. It's the human use of the technology, which is human. It can be bad. And as I always say, you can use fire to warm your house or to burn your city or your house. So it is the human use of technology that needs to be monitored very carefully, especially now, because AI, for the time being, is being only treated by companies that want to make money on AI. So the driver on AI is financial gain. And when you have financial gain associated with something, it gets out of control. So yeah, my role is to keep watching, as I have been doing in the last 35 years of my career. I'm trying to open a dialogue, an international dialogue in the World Economic Forum, the Clinton Initiative, and many other international forums about what I call put the human at the center of gravity of the fourth industrial revolution. So everything we do, everything we develop, everything that is there for us, it has to be human-centric. Means that we should not teach AI to go against human. We should teach AI to protect human and to make a human prosper and to create a society where human can be enjoying a more distributed wealth distribution and health distribution and all the things. And despite the amazing amount of wealth that we managed to create, we are still unable to deliver. So that's my work. I do that at different levels. I do a lot of AI. Actually, 30% of my time now is being done with AI. I have become much more efficient on it. I can cover more things. I can learn faster. I always say using AI in the way that we are using now, particularly AI like OpenAI and ChatGPT and other things like that, or BERT, it's actually it's like having an ultra smart friend next to me. You remember when you do your homework and you have this smart friend in the school that was helping you to do your math. So this is what it is. I mean, we have an ultra smart person, which is a digital person sitting available to us that improves our work, does not replace our work, improves our work. And this is basically the way we see it. I think in what we are talking today, which is how do you reinvent yourself, I think AI is a very powerful tool. I really believe the word reinvention before AI was more like a cosmetic word, whether now it's actually making sense. AI can help you in learning, in career development, in physical health and fitness, in mental health, in social skills, in style and appearance, in time management and productivity, in personal finance, personal branding, and so many other things. So it is there for us to use. It is there for us to monitor, and it's there for us to educate. And one thing people forget, that AI is based on data. More data you give to an AI algorithm. Yesterday you mentioned, Sixtine, we were with Google and we were with Google Cloud and GI, and we learned so much about how they use AI. And it's all about the data that you give. It's like you put two kids in front of the TV, you put them in watching very violent programs, and the other watching very nice TV. And these kids will develop different behaviors. Yep. Because the data they are absorbing is totally different. So AI is learning from us. It is important that the data that we give to the AI algorithms is pure, it's authenticated, it's not biased, and we can, with that, make a very sophisticated algorithm.
Yeah, I think what's clever is that everything that we have fed into the internet so far is now being spat back, if you want, digested and at the speed of light and quicker. And whatever we put in the internet from now on, whether it's good or bad, AI will use it. It's like a child that we're feeding information to. But I also think for humans to understand it, they must learn today how to use it. And I think Maryla and Laura, who are being very clever at teaching people from all sorts of backgrounds, is going to be a huge time. It'll be so much quicker. We'll stop wasting time. But it doesn't mean that you stop reading books. It doesn't mean that you stop going out into nature to walk barefoot in real grass. I mean, that's what it is. And I think it was funny. I had a discussion with someone who said now, anybody can be an artist now. Well, I don't think that's true. You still need that emotional input from whoever's prompting the machine. It's like when iPhone came out with extremely good cameras. Not everyone's a good photographer, even though we've got the best cameras possible. So I hope you'll agree with that. Now, what I wanted to ask Cristina, what are your takes on this digital age? Is it shaping our lives, or are we shaping it, like we've just said? Do we just follow, or do we guide it? What's your take, Cristina?
So it's interesting because when Carlos was talking about his journey, I mean, I was at Hearst and Disney launching the first commercial websites in the early days of the internet. And I remember working for these large powerhouses in the content space, and they saw the world very differently from how it evolved. As a matter of fact, what was kind of interesting is that, you had the TV broadcasters, they felt like they owned the world. They never thought in any way that you'd have all these people unplugging from, they felt like they were the powerhouses. You had this thing where everybody wanted to watch, they would log, they would turn the TV on to see the weather, and very different behavior. And there was a lot of talk about sort of the direction of people's careers. Well, there was no way in this planet that anybody in those roles at those big media companies could foresee the direction of people's careers. The jobs that evolved from that era are so different from what anything anybody imagined. There's like tons and tons of these very important jobs that have evolved that will require a new set of skills, technical skills, data skills, analytical skills. They've built new business models, new businesses out of that. And so every technological revolution pretty much creates new opportunities. And so the people who take that learning journey, right, they are part of that, they're embrace that, and then they're part of the reinventing this new future. So I don't think that the technology drives people. I think it's a dance that happens together, which is one of the reasons why I think it's, there's always a fear of change. And people think like, there's a lot of stories about these. For example, when the word processor came out, people kept saying, well, what's going to happen, right? And here we all are with our phones making, our own calls, and it's a lot more, productive than it was in that era. So, from my perspective, I actually am kind of excited about the new rules, but what's kind of interesting is this interdisciplinary requirement. And kind of as Carlos mentioned, the human is at the center of that, right? Because they're driving the adoption. We also saw during COVID the need to connect with people. So we utilized technologies that already existed, but they evolved around us because we had that need. And a lot of people were very productive. They were able to connect. Look in places like LATAM during that era, there was like a 50% increase in the use of internet access because, these requirements drive the technological evolution. So I mean, of course, being an engineer and electrical engineer and computer scientist, I love this evolution, but I can see it's kind of scary, and a lot of people want to push it back and slow it down. But I think that people have to learn and engage with it in order to mold it to be able to do some of the interesting things versus some of the scary things that people talk about.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I would even go a step further. I know that we're constantly looking for staff, whether they're coders, whether they're new ways to communicate. Like, do we know someone who's specialized in social media? Do we know someone who's already got a huge following because they're an active influencer, whatever? These people are actually hard to find. And I think that's where Maryla is actually, with her reinventing yourself, is good. But I also think that maybe our education needs to be upgraded a little bit as well, because I'm not sure that universities offer those sorts of skills as quickly as what the need is growing.
I totally agree with you. And if you think about it, like, all these regulations come out, and in terms of the use of data, the SEC requirements in terms of cybersecurity, we have all this change coming at us at it's incredible speed, and we have to digest all this information. It's almost hard to even have the right filters to make sure that you're aware of all the things that you should be learning, right? And I think the other thing that's really interesting is the interdisciplinary aspects of how the technology is bringing humans together to be able to do more interesting things. I mean, I obviously work in the cybersecurity space, and I'm always fascinated by the fact that you have these bad actors and they have their motivations, and then you have companies and their sort of requirements. You have this evolving surface area of these networks. It's constantly changing. changing. You have the law, right? You have the legal aspects of protecting their data. How does that work? So you have all these different disciplines that are coming at this emerging bubble, right? And you're trying to learn all of them at the same time. It's a tremendous amount of work. But, I actually use I used Google before, Google search, but using AI to sort of organize and structure some of those searches is actually not a bad thing, right? Because you're constantly trying to dig through. I mean, I always think you should go back to the sources and try to understand the fundamental, either the regulation that came out, et cetera. But it's almost hard without AI to continuously educate yourself across all these changing disciplines that are intersecting rather quickly. And the people who get that are going to create interesting opportunities.
Yeah, that we talked about that. Carlos once said, those who are going to be left behind are those who don't know how to use AI, and not those who are using it and being replaced by it. But Maryla, how do you find with your clients, can I call them clients, the people that you're working with, what is their background? Why are they coming to you?
I think generally everyone has to understand that, in fact, as you say, you have to, AI is here to stay. It's moving at an exponential level. So if you don't evolve with it, you're going to be left behind. It's like the early adopters. It's like the early bird who gets the worm. And you have to really understand. I think what is important to really make clear to people is really that it's not here to replace you, it's here to enhance you. It's really to optimize your performance, to save your time, to condense the time in, you can save so much time to focus on the things that really move the needle.
Yeah.
In your career, in your business, in whatever you choose to focus. So it's crazy to resist it, and to fear it. I understand, maybe we need, people are worried from, of different aspects, protection aspects, security aspects, I don't know. But, it's no point burying your head in the sand, and pretending it doesn't exist. You've got to, those people who are my clients, obviously they are here, that they embrace change, they embrace evolution, they embrace reinvention. So they are, they are absolutely, they absolutely understand that, they have to embrace the digital space, and reinvent themselves in that environment, because this is where the world is today. You can't go backwards.
No, that's what we were saying, but also I think you need to stay curious. I mean, like I'm trying to learn all the time. There's so much going on, so you listen as well to a lot of tutorials. I know that Carlos, by the way, congratulations for your art, but he's creating art every weekend. And Laura, in the same way, we're creating art, etc. But you need to stay curious and you need to learn. But also what I found is that just like medical, when there's a diagnosis, if you don't like the diagnosis, go and get another doctor or go and get another opinion and get 3, 4, whatever you need. And with AI, it's a bit the same. Like you can prompt it, and then if you know a little bit about what you're talking about, feed it again to maybe another type of AI, or, just to get different opinions. Is it, would you say that's correct?
I've also brought up a very interesting point about, when things come out at the beginning, it's driven by financial gain, maybe, for a lot of people. So we have to be very careful because, there is tons of different tools and programs and stuff, popping up every day that are there, to help us, to save time, to educate us. But, we have to be so careful in choosing which ones are really there to truly make the difference, to help us to change, and not just to use us, and our, our money.
Yeah.
Just to their objectives, which are not the true objectives, But I've come across even yesterday an incredible platform, and it's going to really revolutionize content creation, because it's just can spew up a week's full of content, in like few minutes. So, the amount of time that you can focus on those things that are important to making a difference in your business, in your career, it's just, condensed, and you have all this available time. So, but you have to be careful in choosing the right So that's where, it's very important to keep it, that's where we have to be careful what we choose,
There's so much to it, it can become an addiction, but as you say, the financial, and Carlos mentioned it as well, is that, for example, in the NFT market, it was all the hype, then it was metaverse, then it's, we're always talking about something else and AI, but I think the true usage of an NFT is to be on the blockchain and to mint all our valuables and our whatever it is, personal documentation, art, our heritage, should be everything. I think in the next 10 years will be minted on the blockchain, regardless of the amount of money you made or lost on an NFT. And I think that's important. It's the final vision. And I wanted to ask Laura, as you're teaching as well and coaching various people in society, how do you make sure that they don't go into the wrong, into the too commercial softwares or AI?
We don't know, because now there is there is not so much alternative to commercial software, and we need to think about like OpenAI and other solution. The mindset behind that is Tesqueral. Tesqueral is transhumanism, extropianism, cosmism, is all the people from Silicon Valley who think long-termist. They say, okay, there is a lot of people who is poor in the earth, but it's not important. We need to take the money to be able that human can be in 10,000 million years be here. And we need to think that, because when you use this sort of ChatGPT, Midjourney, and what they want is just to have all the data to be able to be here in 10,000 million of years, not to be careful about human in the short term. Mm-hmm. And I think there is not enough alternative in about ChatGPT and other. We just create one now. Because we want to have like a teammate, okay, like a teammate within open source. And when I work with my teammates, it's an AI. But if I feed them, I can be back and have feeding from them with money, for example, and so. So we need to think alternative to this model, because this model is just for have more power for the moment and for have more data, and we need to have some alternative to that. And I don't have the solution yet, but we need to think about, and all together, and to think about what it means, like purpose, and what we want, like human to work with assistant, with teammate in AI. What can we do for amplify our work, and we need to. It's a lot of things to thinking, and I think the art is a good way to think about all of that, to have a perspective in the way to okay, we have a challenge, a big issue here, and challenge here, and continue to iterate.
Yeah, art is a good vector for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Carlos, because your leitmotif has always been keeping the human at the center of all of this and protecting the human identity, that's your long-term vision as well, right? Is to protect humanity at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think I think the same way that Laura thinks, that we need to explore the planets and be there in the next 10,000 years, but we want humans to be there in the 10,000 years, and not something that will have destroyed humans. And that's the trade-off. What I think it is essential to understand is that the world is more complex than what ChatGPT or Microsoft or Google and these guys are doing with AI. I mean, AI, as I mentioned before, is based on data, but the world is 8 billion people, and we have it in this world. I worked with the UN for 20 years, and I travel in 190 countries, and I was always impressed and fascinated about the different cultures, the different thinking, the different religions, the different food, the different colors. And I was always saying, until we don't give to these 8 billion people the possibility to architect the future, we will give an elite in Silicon Valley to define where humans are going to be in the future. So The thing we need to be very careful is that in this extrapolation of what we will be in the future, we don't create like a monopoly of thoughts on where only the very powerful, rich, and companies, and they have trillions of dollars, we define what the human should be. I think we need to open the debate to every single human on this planet, and that will teach the AI to take different decisions. That if we just maintain a elite, which is the case now, by the way, AI is being run by an elite. I always say is, I mean, a quite fundamental question I always ask myself, do AI has a gender? Is AI a woman or a man? Spanish, we say la inteligencia artificial, who is a woman, right? In French, the same thing, l'intelligence artificielle. In English, maybe not clear, but you know, for instance, the uniqueness that I have 4 daughters, so I have learned by experience the richness they can bring to your life and to your learning. Is that being embedded into the AI data? Is the AI data taking into consideration the subtleties of being a woman versus being a man? Is AI maybe just, it's too complicated, therefore let's unify the sex and just call it it, as it is the drive now? So we have to be careful, right, that we don't enter into this game of simplification because we want the AI to solve issues that we believe the only way to solve those issues are AI, like the Sustainable Development Goals. Actually, the Sustainable Development Goals has been there for many years, and despite $10 trillion wealth in technology, we're still unable to solve it. So technology does not solve human issues. Humans solve human issues. I always say this.
Wouldn't you say that also the world is not fully connected at the moment, and for AI you need internet, right?
Exactly, you need internet, you need access, you need possibility of monetizing people's interactions on the internet, let them develop jobs. For instance, you can be a prompt engineer now in India or in Kenya, and you can sell your prompt engineering capabilities to a Swiss company. So there is a new opportunity. What I say is that if you look into the past, you remember when humans were traveling with horses and suddenly cars arrived, it was a lot of accident. A lot of people were dying with the cars. Why? There was no driving permit license requirement. There was no roads. The roads were done for horses and not for cars. There was no traffic lights. There was no legislation. So basically they just took the car and killed themselves. We are in that process now. We are killing ourselves now. AI is this old car, new car that has arrived in a society that is not ready to understand the technology. So we have to learn. And then we have to put regulation on it, as we did it with cars. Then we realized that we need to stop, and you need a red light and a green light, and you need to put an airbag. And that progress was there designed to protect the human. I mean, the automobile industry only succeeded because we added elements that allow to protect the human. AI should follow the same path. We need to, in whatever we do, we need to preserve the human. Otherwise, we will become an endangered species, like the elephants or the tigers, and that will be the situation. So actually, we don't have a lot of time, and it's important that we reach out. We only maybe in the last generation where we can make the difference, because after it will be too difficult to do it, to re-engineer back. So that's why it is important, this discussion is what is important to have experts like you that outline the danger at the same time that obviously we outline the amazing opportunities ahead.
Yeah, the car analogy I think is really brilliant because everyone can understand it. We have a question and a comment by James Fell. So James Fell is a gentleman who met Carlos at few events and soirees. No, you went to soirees, but and he was finishing his graduate work in Geneva and became interested in AI and IoT, especially reading The Transhuman Code, which is a book, by the way, which Carlos wrote, and very helpful as well for those who wish to understand more. He then came to Geneva with his wife and is currently building a business and developing a platform with AI integration. So his question is, how can I encourage my wife to become more involved in the tech side? Any programs out there? I believe it's really critical for our platform build for her to have knowledge in this area. So yeah, maybe you've got, Laura, maybe you've got suggestions, or Carlos, how does How does
Just
his
say
wife
why.
get to know?
I think they asked, how can I bring my wife in to support my work? I think this is the main. I would say that's what I do with my wife, which is not our own technology. Just help her to do her work using AI in an efficient way. Maybe you cook for her and you just take maybe, I don't know if this gentleman cooks or not, but if he doesn't, maybe he can show her his wife that by using AI he can make a very interesting recipe and take that load from her. So it is all about optimization. I mean, the way in the case of my wife paints. I paint during the weekends. We like art as a way, not because we want to do expositions and things like that, but it's a good way to balance your brain, because I am all the week in technology business and things like that. And during the weekend, now that my kids are all out of the house, I like to diversify my brain. So I am teaching her AI for generating art, and she loves it because she can now do a prompt, get inspired, and after move from the AI and then do the physical painting. So it is actually the advice is that empower her, unleash her potential by providing the tools that this gentleman is using on his work, and you will have a very strong colleague and partner for you.
So James, the arts is one way. I know as well that there are quite a few programs for music as well, where you can start composing. Laura, what was your suggestion?
My suggestion is you need to find. I give a lot of training in Switzerland for people who want to learn how to work with generative AI, for example, how to do AI because they don't know anything. And the first step, I think, is to be curious and just to play with that and just to have fun with the AI, and perhaps just to say, oh, okay, look, you can do that with the picture of children, or you can just have fun. And if you begin to have fun, you want to go deeper and deeper and deeper, and after 2 or 3 months you are, oh yeah, I work with AI every day now. So perhaps first step is have fun with AI. So
that sounds good. Maryla, do you say the same thing to your ladies?
Well, I think my ladies are more interested in generating content and, you know, their visibility, online visibility. So it's more about how to learn how to, as you say, the output of a AI is as good as the input. So it's also, you know, educating themselves on how to, you know, maximize and optimize the, you know, the input they put and what they, you know, how it can help them. So they are learning, you know, the kind of tools that are more related, you know, appropriate to enhancing their visibility online, their presence online, their, you know, so it's those kind of tools. You know, for this particular question, I'm fully with Carlos and Laura. I think, you know, get your wife really excited about something that, you know, might then, you know, help you in your business as a secondary effect, you know, so benefit. So
James, I hope we've answered your question and inspired your wife. You can start cooking with it, and you can start painting with it, and I know you can start composing music with it. Now, onto that subject, like, of course, AI, you can enter and prompt things and say, I want to paint like Van Gogh, or I'm going to do, you know, flowers like Monet or whatever. And some people say it's dangerous now because it's appropriation. Is it plagiarism? I don't know. That maybe comes into Christina's realm of things with cybersecurity, but there's a lot of court cases going on. Yet I'd like to add that you've got some AI artists like Refik Anadol, for example, who's got a piece at the MoMA that attracted more people and more viewing time than any other piece at MoMA. And what he did is he prompted his AI tool with all the different works, the whole entire collection of the MoMA, and created a new work with all of those combined. So, you know, that's not copying, that's not plagiarism, it's just using intelligent creativity, I would call it, rather than artificial intelligence. But what's the take on that with cybersecurity, and what's the idea in America? Because I know the law in America is much, it's a lot different than in Europe.
Yeah, so before I address that point, one of the things I want to point out is that AI does push our boundaries in some ways in terms of how we conceive of ideas. And one very simple example is how AI has influenced the game of chess, right? Traditionally, people had very traditional approaches, and they would learn sort of a traditional approach towards memorizing a bunch of different moves. But because AI would think about things that were kind of outside of the box, it opened up people's imagination to other moves, right? And so I think that AI has the ability to say, you know, how about this other approach instead of just reiterating things that have been done in the past, which is basically how education is done. But now going back to the idea of the legal aspects, and this is one of the things that comes up now, because when you talk about specifically like ChatGPT and like these large language libraries, you're sucking stuff in from all over the place. And so where does that data live, right? And you start thinking about all the GDPR issues, right? So if you want to be able to use a large language library for health information, right? And then you start thinking about all the health data, where it lives, and then you want to be able to, have this sort of learning process. Where does the learning take place? Can you keep it at the edge, tokenize it, and not necessarily share the human, the personal identifiable information? So there's a lot of work being done in that space because of the fact that you have to adhere to these data laws, right? While trying to use this technology to do very interesting things in the areas of things like healthcare and cybersecurity. And so that's what's so fascinating about this space, is that these intersection of these different disciplines creates these new opportunities, new tools. But then you have to bring all these disciplines together. And from a career perspective, people that know one discipline can learn the other one and see how these things kind of bridge together. But obviously this whole area of intellectual property and who owns the derivative works is obviously a minefield for attorneys that are working in that space. And so I wouldn't consider myself to know the end, the ultimate, stake in the ground. This is how it all works, because I think a lot of it is up for debate. But I do think, in the defense of AI, I do think that taking all of this work and forcing humans to start looking at how to solve problems in a different way, even if it's just a chess game, is a good thing, right? We do have to solve the legal aspects. And even, for example, in the healthcare space, you want to be able to take in all this data to learn as much as possible about all different aspects of healthcare, pharmaceuticals, treatments. But if you can't figure out how to use that data within these guidelines, these regulatory guidelines, keeping that data resident, not necessarily suck it into an LLM, which now big part of this huge database that lives I don't know where. Those are the problems that are going to have to be figured out. And from a career perspective, the people that are going to be figuring those things out and coming up with these new approaches are going to be people that are reinventing themselves and bringing pieces of those disciplines together in order to figure out sort of this, these new opportunities. And so it's very exciting. Of course, you have to learn a lot to get there.
Of course. The reinventing, I think, is also something that is very, as Laura mentioned before, colonial, and it's part of something, and Maryla sees it as well, of sort of our Western rich, so-called more intelligent. I don't know about more intelligent. I don't want to say that, but I mean, at least the Western civilizations. I worked a lot with Aboriginal people in Australia, and then you also work with First Nations in Canada and whatever. And they don't have that idea of intellectual property on their art or whatever. It belongs to the village, or it belongs to the tribe, or it belongs to the root if you're coming down from space or whatever it is, but they don't have ownership of their art or of their creativity. And I think the artists today, and I'm not, I've got all due respect to all the artists who are trying to defend their intellectual property, that's fine, but it's really something that's colonial or European. In the other parts of the world, there is no property for creation. It belongs to everybody. Just like Earth, basically. So, but that doesn't mean you don't have your identity. And now that, and you should protect it and have digital identity. Now, I'm going to ask Carlos this. What are the do's and the don'ts that you, like as a person, you want to have your digital identity protected? What is it? How do you go about it? What do you do?
I mean, digital identity is a very complex issue and still unsolved, despite the fact that we are doing AI. I mean, it's, again, AI. You know, you go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, do you know what a human is? They will not able to answer. Or you can ask, do you know who I am? And they will not be able to answer. I mean, you can try that, and the reason is ChatGPT doesn't know you. ChatGPT or any AI algorithm doesn't know you. And the reason why is that we are not being embedded on the internet. The internet doesn't know us neither, and everything you put on the top on that internet technology will inherit the lack of knowledge of humans. So we have to inject the human on the fourth industrial revolution. We have to code it. We have to say, ChatGPT, a human is that, you know, is a person, they get a birth certificate, this person has a mother and a father or whatever, and that person is, you have to define what a human is. And this has not been defined on technology. And that's why we have become an object of platforms. I mean, we are consumer. The consumer human has been already identified. People are making a lot of money of the consumer human.
Yeah.
Human has not been yet identified. And that's a very big mistake on the technology. I think what we need with AI, and again, AI is going to get exponential very soon. Quantum is arriving. The computational capabilities on quantum is mind-boggling. I mean, we cannot even imagine what quantum computers will be able to do. Imagine a quantum computer being used to accelerate the AI learning process. So this is where we're going to get into AGI, into artificial general intelligence, right? And we are very near to get there. I mean, we're about 3 to 5 years to get there. So before we get there, we better define what a human is. And
what we want, yeah. We have another question from William Tavelli. Nice to have you with us, William. He's asking, what guardrails should we already be putting in place? So it's a little bit what we're just talking about in regards to the use of AI to minimize foreseeable problems. Do we write new best practices? So where is the governance in place, or is it coming? Or
yeah, I mean, the European Union is actually, I will say, the benchmark now, because they have this legacy GDPR, EIDAS regulations that has stopped many very big companies to basically data mine Europe. But no, I mean, AI for a moment is a scientific research program, right? I mean, we are just accelerating the algorithm. Companies are looking at each other to say, okay, you develop ChatGPT, I'm going to develop BART, and I'm going to develop a competitor to you because I'm going to grab your market. So we are on this. The big danger there, as I mentioned before, is that also it's very difficult to define legislation. What regulation or legislation are you going to define for AI? I mean, AI is based on data, right? To regulate AI, you need to regulate data. So it's a complex issue. I think what we need to do is something like we did with nuclear technology. We need to define firewalls on where we protect ourselves against a nuclear collapse. And we have done that since, you know, all of you went to see the Oppenheimer movie, and you saw how he was surprised himself of being developed such a powerful, terrific technology that he didn't thought at the beginning will be used for that purpose. So we are in that process now, but we managed to control nuclear technology. We are still there, right? So I think if we apply the same principles to AI, we'll be able as well to resist any potential downside and doom situation with AI. If not, we are doomed. I mean, a lot of people, including Elon Musk and others, are saying, be careful, guys. He knows what he's talking about. He was at the genesis of OpenAI, right? Including the founder of AI or OpenAI is saying, because as a potential listed company, you have to disclose potential risk, right? So he's saying this could be a major problem. So the next 5 years,
beware and basically, you know, be reasonable as well. Like, don't be crazy, I suppose. We're approaching the end of the webinar. I just wanted to say to tell everybody a huge thank you. It's been really enlightening. I'm going to ask every one of you before I close what your advice is to the next generation. I know we've been talking a lot about it, but maybe we won't talk about people reinventing themselves, but about teenagers who are learning and searching themselves and soul searching a little bit. Before we do that, this is, as I said, it's a series of 4. So the next webinar will be announced in about a month's time. But please do register with WISe.ART, which is our art platform, but there's lots of news on there. The newsletter's just come out. Register, follow us on social media, so to make sure that you're all knowledgeable about the next webinar. I will let you know about the dates as well. So I'll start with Laura this time. What's your advice to the soul-searching teenager today?
Okay, my advice is not human against AI, is human in collaboration with AI, and just begin with that. Don't see the AI like a battle to have. Just see them like a friend to make.
That's very good advice. Thank you. What about you, Maryla?
Well, I think, like Carlos said, I think it's really important, I think, for us, even if we are in the digital revolution and age, to actually realize that, our digital identity is really an extension of who we are. So, we need to be intentional, we need to be authentic. And in order to do that, we really need to know, we have to start with, knowing ourselves. You really need to know who you are and be really crystal clear on what you really want in life, to have that big vision for yourself, because, without a vision, we perish. So, anyone, and I think, at that age, I think, it's really important to really follow your heart, and design your life with your head, but, always stay really true and authentic to yourself, and never really stop learning. You have to keep learning, keep growing, keep evolving, and never stop reinventing yourself. That's my little injection. And use social media and AI to really showcase and optimize the best version of you to the world, so that use it, but before you can actually go out there, you really need to start, with the fundamentals and the basics of who you are and what you really want in life.
And don't forget to smile and have fun with it as well. And we have a question before I continue from Dina Miller. Dina Miller is a fantastic artist who's been putting up her art on the WISe.ART platform, and she's even had a beautiful NFT for the coronation of King Charles. So that was all. I'm glad to have you with us, Dina. So where are the people who can communicate benefits of AI, and what happens to those people who don't want it, i.e. rather like not wanting to use self-service tills or automated switchboards, who would rather talk to a person? So what do we tell those people?
Right.
Who wants to answer that one?
Totally right. I like this approach, actually. She's totally right. I mean, we will need to develop that scenario. I mean, we have it already, elderlies and people that don't like to use mobile phones. So we need to develop that freedom to humans, that we will be able to exist without AI, without computer, without mobile phones, and live a very happy life. We should develop that scenario. And for that, you need 8 billion people to think about it, not only an elite.
True, that's very true. So I'll continue on with you. What's your advice to the lost teenagers of today?
So my advice is to believe on themselves without thinking on technology. The most perfect machine ever being created is the human being. There is nothing better. And we created AI. AI didn't create us, right? So human created AI. Actually, AI, artificial, doesn't make any sense. AI is an extended intelligence of humans. We are just extending, expanding, improving our own intelligence by providing new methods, but there's nothing artificial in an intelligence. So what I say is always believe in yourself, empower yourself with tools, make use of the tools like a painter uses a brush. A brush, without brush, a painter cannot paint, but the brush doesn't paint alone, right? So you need the talent behind the tool. And if you apply both, you will be very successful. But believe about yourself. That's the #1 criterion.
That's sound advice as well. With the brush thing, it's funny because some people now use robots. So some human being built a robot who can paint. So again,
always start with a human being, right?
Yeah.
Always. It's important.
Absolutely.
Activity in that as well.
The end word from America.
Well, so I would just say learn as much as possible, because I think the future has a lot of opportunity. And, as I've seen over and over again throughout my career, the opportunities that will exist in the future don't exist today. And so if you're not constantly learning and open about ingesting this information and experimenting on a regular basis with respect to these tools, then you don't get be part of this very exciting future. So, and I agree with everything everybody else said as well. But I do think that the human is going to sort of push the boundaries in terms of how these technologies evolve and how they can help humans live better lives. And so in order to do that, you have to play, experiment, and really, think about the value can be created. So.
And it's nothing to be scared of, right? It's just,
no.
Every progress in our humanity has been about discovery. Like, you've made inventions from our mistakes as well. So,
a lot of examples of that.
All right, everybody. Well, I can't thank you more again. And I wish you a very happy evening or morning or day, wherever you are. And we'll see you next time. Thank you very much, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, fun. Thanks.
Bye-bye.